I wanted to share the story behind what finally made my wife and I decide it was time to stop working in our business and start working on our business. Guys, if you don't know me, my name's Tony Maritato. I'm a licensed physical therapist and private practice owner, and this channel is dedicated to helping clinicians understand the business of physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech language pathology. So hopefully you guys can find independence, financial freedom, and all of the things that you're looking for when you chose to become a clinician. So years ago, we started our private practice back in 2001/2002. My wife was a physical therapist. She was not my wife at the time. I was not a physical therapist. I was a strength coach. I had my CSCS, and I was employed by a local hospital as an exercise tech. I would basically go around like an aide in an outpatient clinic. I would help clean and wipe down tables, bring equipment to patients, and then I transitioned to more of a personal training role in a wellness tennis academy that they had down where I was in Sarasota, Florida. And so after about a year of working for the hospital, I decided, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I desperately wanted to improve the systems. I desperately wanted to improve the efficiencies of the operation, make the patient care experience more accessible to more patients. And I was hit with resistance every single time I tried to make a positive change. That is the nature of working for a large organization. So after a year, it was almost a year to the day, I had saved up about $10,000. I borrowed another 15. I signed a lease on an 800 square foot space, and I opened Siesta Key Personal Training Studio. And I was a business owner. Now, it wasn't the first time I was a business owner, but I was a business owner and started doing personal training for local people of Siesta Key, which is an island community down in Sarasota, Florida. What I found real quick was that people wanted personal training early in the morning, 4:30, 5 a.m. They wanted personal training after work at 5:30 p.m., 7 p.m. They didn't so much want stuff during the day. But I also realized quickly that the people that I was working with really needed more of the skills of a therapist than they did a personal trainer. So over the first couple months, the business grew rapidly. I was working constantly. I found a therapist that now is my wife, but she was amazing in the clinic. I had the good fortune of working with her before I went into business for myself, and I convinced her to come open a private practice with me. Now, I was not a therapist, she was. So in terms of the business structure, she was 100% owner of the physical therapy business. I was 100% owner of the personal training studio. She sublet space from me within the same 800 square feet. We had one private room, which was the exam room, and then everything was done in the communal gym area. But basically what happened was we were good at what we did. Clients and patients came to see us. They wanted to work with us. That effectively chained us to all of the service delivery within the business. It seemed virtually impossible for us to start to hire other personnel to come and deliver the service because people were connected to us personally, not to the service we provided. And then, of course, we had to have time for cleaning the toilets, sweeping, vacuuming, wiping down the mirrors and the equipment. We had to have time for all of the accounting and business operations, the marketing. It turned over the first 3 years into a situation where we were just chained to the business almost 24/7. From the moment we woke up to the moment we went to bed, we were working as a team to grow and build the business. Now, we also happened to open 2 more locations during that time. We also decided it was a good time for me to go get my master's degree in physical therapy because we knew that if we wanted to grow and scale the business at that time, almost 20 years ago, it would be beneficial if I was also a licensed therapist. If for nothing else, simply because clinicians historically would trust working for another physical therapist more than they would trust working for a non-physical therapist. So that was a major motivator in going to get my physical therapy license. But the lesson we learned was that we could not wear every hat in the organization. If we wanted to achieve our ultimate goal, at this point we knew we were going to get married and have a family, we would have to create a business that worked and functioned independent of my wife and I. And the only way to do that was to step out of the business for a moment, to learn how to build systems and operations, and then start to create some structure within the business. So at that time, which would have been around 2003 or 4, we went ahead and we invested upwards of $30,000. It's kind of an interesting story. So it started with a marketing webinar. No, not webinar. Seminar. We paid $1,000 to go to a marketing seminar. The seminar was on how to get more new patients, because at that time we're young, we're naive, we think we need more new patients. And so during the seminar, we get introduced to the idea of independence and freedom, which of course was an upsell into additional training for business operations, which we desperately needed. We were cash rich, but time poor. We didn't have what we wanted, which was freedom to do the things that we want to do. So we signed up for the rest of the program. It was about a $32,000 investment all in all. It's crazy to even think that we were ready to spend $32,000 for a 1-week intensive training camp, basically, where we would be in a room with other practice owners. We would be self-paced studying from a guide, a paper guide, and then there would be a proctor that would walk around the room and kind of quiz us, test us on the information just to make sure we understood it, we could apply it, and we didn't have any questions. Now, I'm not promoting this. There were some things behind the scenes that we weren't aware of at the time that I would never, ever, ever in a million years tell anyone to go do. But for the time that we spent there, what we did realize was the two main things that brought us the most value, because there was nothing we were learning that you couldn't learn from any standard business book. But the two things that made it most effective was the fact that we just paid $32,000 to learn this content. The content almost didn't matter whether it was good or not. The fact that we had $32,000 on a credit card to pay for this information made it 10 times more effective because it was so powerful. The nocebo placebo effect of that, spending that money, just made it so intensely powerful that we took every single moment to deeply understand what we were doing. The second thing was the fact that we took a week out of the clinic. We didn't see patients. We weren't near anybody. We were out of town. We were staying in a hotel. And so it was a concentrated, dedicated week of intensive learning and application that got us to build the original infrastructure for the business. And so we realized at that point, now we have something that will grow beyond just everything falling on our shoulders. And so we had an employee at that time. She was a combination front desk receptionist, exercise tech, do everything for minimum wage. And she was phenomenal. She was the best thing that ever happened to us as a business. And then that laid the groundwork for us to then hire a physical therapist. And then we hired a second. We opened another location. We hired more staff. We expanded into OT. We opened a third location. We decided at that point it was time. I was graduating. This would have been 2000. I think I graduated the end of 2005, beginning of 2006. We decided it was time for us to get married, to move to Ohio. We did. We got married in the middle of 2006, moved to Ohio officially, opened our fourth practice December of 2006, and then our fifth practice August of 2007. So we could not have done that. We could not have grown. We could not have hired on more staff. We could not have gotten married. We could not have started family planning had we not taken what ultimately was the worst job imaginable, the job of being the employee all day long and being the business owner before and after the employee clocked in and out. We had all of the responsibilities of both parties. So now we had the tools in place that we could start to create our organizational board. We could start to assign tasks and responsibilities and performance metrics. We had training so that when we brought a team member on, they weren't just coming on with random expectations of what to do. We brought them on with training in place so that they knew the exact expectation, what was outperforming expectation, what was meeting and what was underperforming expectation. We had the full kind of kit and caboodle so that when we did decide it's time for a family, we were able to achieve our goals. Our goals from the beginning were we wanted time freedom, so that when we had kids, we could be home with our kids. I can put them on the bus. I can be there when they get off. I can help with sports and activities, and we can travel as a family. We didn't want every fire coming to us. We wanted systems in place that could handle problems. And we wanted a business that at some point we could sell. We can do something with. If we didn't want to sell it, we could let it continue to operate on its own, giving us passive income as absentee owners. We knew that we needed that kind of independence and freedom. And so I can tell you that if I put myself into my body before we made that decision to go learn how to be business owners, it wasn't even a thought on our mind. We thought, we're good clinicians, we do a good job, we're going to go into business and make lots of money. It wasn't until we were there doing every single thing every single day with no exit strategy within sight and no hope on the horizon that we were ever going to be able to get out of this, that we finally took the plunge to say, I really need to turn this into a business. Otherwise, I need to shut it down and go get a job. Because even though we had loads of money, we had no time, we had no freedom, we had no independence to do anything with that money. So guys, I hope that you guys can take what you take from this, learn from my lessons. I've made all the mistakes. I've probably made them 2 or 3 times. It takes me a little while to learn. If you want to watch another video, take a look at this one right here. If you have questions specifically about private practice, drop them down in the comments and I'll catch you guys on the next video.